to answer your thing about Hamilton, bro, like that was a huge inspiration to doing this album. There are so many recurring motifs and character development and just all of and the connectivity and the records of that musical. It's that is a huge inspiration. Lin Manuel Miranda specifically is a huge inspiration to me because of what he did all the music. Like that dude is like, I'm just like, wow, like that's what I want to do. So I mean, obviously I'd like for my music to kind of always, eventually I want my albums to always be accompanied by full length like films and like musical films. Like I literally, like that's the goal. So just there's that short answer that's in the future. But to answer your question about the process of opening night, let me pull up the album track list so I can look at it right now. Basically I would say this album, like I said, is a compilation and the culmination of like what I had gone through my first record deal up until this point. So it's really an album 4 years in the making, honestly, but a lot of it was made after tour with Logic in late 2018. A lot of it was made then, but I will say that there are records on here like Strongers from like, that's from early 2018. Famous, I actually had the chorus for Famous in like when I was like 18, like in like 2015 or 20. Like I had that chorus, but I never knew how to build it afterwards. I had up until the big musical break with the guitars, and I had the very beginning, and I never knew what to do with it. But then honestly, figuring that out was a really big, like figuring out that should go to that big Queen Stadium section, like, and then having the horns come in, like figuring that out was the moment when I was thinking, okay, like this is something bigger. And the funny thing was I used to have meetings because I'll say I made The Greatest, All Day, Honest, Lies, Nothing in the World, like all within like a month of each other. Like those like all happened really quickly. But regarding, I used to have weekly meetings with the head of Bobby Boy Records. We'd meet at Tender Greens in LA, like I'm on right off Ventura, and we'd have like weekly meetings and talk about the music. He did this with all the artists, but I had almost a project done. And I remember I wanted to call the project Clouds initially because I didn't really know what the bigger overarching theme was, but I wanted to do an overture. And I was kept referencing when we talk about music videos, when we talk about concepts of the music, I kept referencing musical theater. And so Justin Fleischer, the head of the label, was like, "Yo, why don't you like lean into that as the the theme of the album?" And I guess I was always apprehensive to do it because of it sucks because I love musical theater, but for some reason, I was always apprehensive just because of maybe like there might have been some kind of like, I don't even know. I always just thought like, are people gonna? I used to think too much about what people would think. You know what I mean? But with that, I was like, no, like that's true. Like that's who I am. I started in theater. That was like my first stage I was ever on was musical theater, and that's a lot of my influence. But I also love Chris Brown. I also love Michael Jackson, and I also love these people. But I love all of it. So like, and so he was actually the one that, because I was saying all these references, but he was the one that actually said like, yo, like let's like, why don't we like lean into that for the album? Like, what if that's the concept? But to answer your question creatively, I'd say figuring out Famous, like although I made all those records in like the span of like a month or two, a few months, finishing Famous really was like, okay, this is the intro. Like this is the first time you hear my voice on the album. I've come a long way from home. All the nights that I've cried alone after all of the pain I've known, I think that my future is bright for once. Like, cause I didn't have that opening line before. I just had, I want to be famous, not for the money, not for the cars. But then when I came up with that intro, I was like, oh, okay. Like this is like the curtain just opened after the overture and it's nothing. And then there's this one spotlight that comes down and it's just me on the piano playing that, and that's like the opening to a musical. It's like this person that addresses, I'm not where I want to be in life, and I'm sad. I'm upset, and I think I deserve more, and I want to get there, and I'm going to do anything like that. It's like the start of every musical, every movie, like Rocky, and that you know, it's the start of all that. That's what you know what I mean. It's like Hamilton. Hamilton's like that too.